What is up? Welcome to the RotoGrinders morning grind here on this beautiful Wednesday, August 23rd, 2023. We have a nice little six-gamer to talk about here on, I say nice. It is a six-game slate. I don't know if it's very nice, but it's six-game MLB slate today. Joined today by Stevietpfl. You know him in the DFS streets by TastefulTides. Tim, what's happening, my friend?
Not much, Stevie. Yeah, we were on Grinders Live on Monday night together, and that was a really successful show. We were all over the Mariners, and me and you, we had quite a good night. And I think Dean did too, even though he hated stacking the Mariners with no J-Rod. But he still had a great night. We all had really good nights.
Yeah, I mean, even with my pitching kind of struggling here on this Tuesday slate, my bats are doing pretty well. If I could get some Marlins production, I know that's not what a lot of people are kind of hoping for because Snell, pretty popular. But if I can get some Marlins production in this game, just like one big hit from like Soler, yeah, I think like Berger, Soler would be like the two guys looking at my ownership on a team that I have doing pretty well. So. Good night in the pick'em streets for me. I think I went 4 for 4 because I missed the Drew Smiley. I had him less than 4 strikeouts and he got 4. Got absolutely shelled, and they just let him keep pitching. He ended up getting 2 more strikeouts. But I mean, it happens. So, but yeah, good night on the pick'em streets, and DFS looking pretty good. So. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Tuesday night. What's up, YouTube? I see you guys all hanging out over there. I look energetic tonight. Listen,
you look energetic tonight, Steve. You're not yawning. You're not. I mean, you know.
I don't think people realize like how much sleep I don't get on the weekends. So, that is something. It is, yeah, no sleep on the weekends during NASCAR season. When NASCAR season's over and I don't have that stuff, like I get a lot of sleep on the weekends. So the 3 months that you'll see me after NASCAR season, I'll look like a different person. Won't have bags under my eyes. So, but yeah, what's up, YouTube? Thanks for hanging out. Yeah, if you haven't already, subscribe. Hit that subscribe button. Send it to your friends. Tell them to come hang out with us. You don't have to do that, but hey, I appreciate it if you do. We have, like I said, a nice little 6-game slate here for Wednesday. We're going to get started with Toronto at Baltimore. 8.5 total in this game. The Blue Jays a 130 favorite. We got Gausman and Flaherty facing off against each other. Let's start with Kevin Gausman. Talent-wise, he's a top 3 talent on the slate. Potentially current form talent, maybe the best. It's just so hard to say, hey, anybody's talented, more talented than Kershaw. I'm just going to throw that. That's the reason I'm kind of wording it the way that I am. But Gausman, 10-6. I mean, not a great spot, but not a terrible spot. What are your thoughts here on Gausman?
Yeah, not the best spot in the world, but we're going to break down this whole slate for everybody listening, and we're going to realize that there's not going to be a whole lot of options. So he is definitely the SP1 for me. Huge K rate. It's not the best matchup for Ks, but I think when we end up, telling everybody who's on the slate, it's pretty ugly. So, and Kershaw, I mean, he's not as talented as Kershaw, but I still don't think Kershaw is up to full strength. So I got to give Gausman SP1 on the slate.
Yeah, I mean, you could argue, I think 3 guys for like SP1 today. But I think when you're looking at just overall numbers, Gausman, pretty high up there, 31.5% K rate. Baltimore is a good lineup. No one's going to sit there and say they're not a good lineup. I mean, if they do, don't listen to them because they are a good lineup. But there's strikeouts here. Mountcastle, Henderson, depending on who catches, who plays the outfield, they're dealing with a few injuries. So, but there's strikeouts in this lineup, and Gausman has that upside to be SP1 on the slate. So, yeah, very interested in Gausman here. Flaherty on the other side of this game, any interest in him?
Not. I mean, maybe a little bit. Like if I was making like 20 or more teams, I might sprinkle him in just to get some exposure because I think he does have the ability to have a ceiling. But boy, oh boy, like if he doesn't have as good control, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So I would try to keep my exposure light to him. But I think I wouldn't completely toss him out of your pool.
Yeah, I mean, same thing that we were talking about with Rodriguez yesterday, except for the fact that like Flaherty's a little bit more expensive. Flaherty, on the season, if we just look on the season, has been fantastic against righties. If we look at recently, he's still striking out righties at a very high clip. The one thing that like worries me is the walks and the struggles with lefties. They're only facing 3 lefties. I mean, it's usually like 3 lefties max in this lineup: Belt, Varsho, Kiermaier. So, I mean, I think at 8,100, he's viable on this slate. I mean, there's nothing really like safe. I think Kershaw's the safest pitcher on the slate. We'll talk about him in a couple games. There's potential weather in that game. That game might not even play. So like, or
really?
it might have a delay.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
Boy,
I mean,
if that game's in trouble, this slate's going to be really thin, really thin.
It's night before like weather, so I mean it always changes. But I mean, when I was looking earlier, there's like 50-60% chance until like 9. So I like Kevin Roth. I don't even mess with weather night before, but I'm just saying like there's potential weather there, maybe not even a thing. But I think Kershaw's the safest pitcher on the slate. But I think both of these pitchers, tough matchup for both of these guys. They both have some upside. I mean, Flaherty's a guy that, very interesting. So let's talk bats. Blue Jays bats here. Obviously, Bichette back. Good to see Vlad back in the lineup after dealing with like a little bit of a finger thing. So Toronto lineup getting pretty healthy, man. This is when this lineup's healthy, they're a tough team to beat. Any interest here in the Toronto bats?
It would be just like the lefties for me. To be, like Brandon. I think Brandon Belt is a really, really strong play. Dalton Varsho 3,100, Belt 3,500. I think if you want to just stack this team up, like you can go ahead and go for that. But I'd rather just get exposure to the left-handers.
Yeah, I mean, I think you could roll out a little mini stack with like Bichette, Belt, Vlad, and just chase the ceiling. Flaherty's a guy that can get into trouble quick and not even go like really deep. Soler just hit a home run. Let's go. Just saying. Man, just saying. Nice Blake Snell, baby. Blake Snell. Yeah, so I do think like Flaherty is a guy that like can get into trouble. Like last time out against San Diego, got into trouble really fast. They were really quick to hook him. I think he only threw like 3 innings. So yeah, I mean Baltimore's in a position where they need every game. They don't need every game, but in this division, you need every game. So especially when you're facing a division rival here. Baltimore bats. I mean Gausman's good. I'm not going to go out of my way to pick on Gausman. I do think like it is a 6-game slate. Gausman's probably going to get a good amount of ownership here. So like if you wanted to leverage a Baltimore, maybe like a 4-man stack and do like a 4-4 type of build, sure, large field stuff. But like single entry, 3-entry max, I probably don't get to any Baltimore bets today.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It is funny though. It's like he does give up, over 50% hard hits to both sides of the plate. I mean that's a lot for a guy that we consider such a strong pitcher. So I mean, I think that with Cedric Mullins back, maybe you could like throw him in, Gunnar Henderson, someone like that, just as like part of a contrarian little mini stack, because Gausman does give up hard contact.
Yeah, that's what I said. Like the leverage makes a little sense. Gausman's not typically a guy that gets blown up, which I mean is the reason that like you're not like hugely on it. But I mean like Philadelphia got to him last time out, 5 earned runs, and he only threw like 5 1/3. So it's definitely doable. I mean, Baltimore just touched them up at the beginning of the month. So it's definitely doable. I think a 4-man, and it'd be like a leverage play. So yeah, very interested in Baltimore. And Yeezy, I write down the morning grind game every single day on my note sheet, and Soler was my home run call. Washington at New York, 9 total.
Is Yeezy causing trouble? I don't
Oh,
think
he's just having fun.
He'd never do that. He would
Listen,
never cause trouble.
he's a regular. I really want
I,
Berger to hit a
I
home run
know.
right here. I
Yeah.
might leave my chair if Berger hits a home run right here. But Nationals and Yankees, 9 total in this one. Yankees a 145 favorite. Let's talk Gore and Severino. Gore is 7,400. We know like he's very capable of strikeouts. Yankees are very capable of striking out. Any interest in Gore here against the Yankees?
I have a lot of interest in Gore, to be honest with you. You're not going to get like a massive pitch count ceiling. They'll probably limit him to around like 85 pitches. But at his price tag and the context of the slate, I have really no issue at all with Gore.
Yeah, he has one of the highest strikeout rates on the slate, just in general.
Yeah.
By default on a 6-game slate, he's underpriced for his ceiling. I mean, his floor is probably like -5 or 10 here. So Judge, Torres, LeMahieu, Stanton, all these Bader, like they all hit left-handed pitching really well. So like his floor is very, very low, but his ceiling is one of the highest ceilings on the slate. So I think depending on like the contest you're playing, yeah, I mean, I don't have an issue taking some shots here on Mackenzie Gore. Other side of this game, Severino, I mean, he's finally at the point where he's priced right. He's been awful this season. 5,400 suits him well. Even at this price in a matchup against Washington, I don't know if I could play Severino. But at this price on a 6-game slate, if you just wanted to say, hey, maybe he goes out and throws 5 innings, gives up 1 or 2 runs, throws a decent game, Yankees win, he puts up 15. I'm not mad at 15 at 5,400. I hear that, but like, yeah, I get it because like Atlanta's still on the slate. And I mean, Atlanta is facing the ghost of Jose Quintana. So I mean, I get it, but yeah, I mean, overall, I don't think I play Severino. I haven't played Severino all year. He's been one of my favorite stacks all year. What are your thoughts here on Severino?
So obviously, I would love to get 15 points out of a $5,400 pitcher. Like if you get 15 out of him, that's going to be amazing. You can jam in Atlanta. I think he's going to be popular though, Stevie. That's my only issue. Like I think he's going to be like.
I hope so.
Well, that's what I really think though. I think like the quote unquote optimal build is going to be to play Gausman and Severino, and then jam in some Atlanta or some other big bats, and that's going to be like the quote unquote optimal build. I think that's what projection systems are going to spit out. So that's the only concern I have is that he's going to be like the chalky cheap guy. So, and if that ends up being the case, then I don't want to have a lot of interest, and then I would definitely take some stabs at maybe some CJ Abrams on the other side, Lane Thomas, like that whole crew of Nats just for a little bit of leverage.
Oh, dude, I hope I open up Lineup HQ tomorrow and see a projected ownership for Severino where he's getting ownership. Like I'm on the fence about like the slate in general, but if Severino's chalk, this slate makes me excited. Like, and like I get okay, so like at the end of the day, I understand why he would get ownership here, and I understand the reason of like playing him here. But if Severino's going to be chalky today, whoo, baby, I'm gonna love it. I mean, I'm definitely not playing Severino if he's chalk. I'm probably not playing Severino anyway. But yeah, let's talk about these Washington bats. Love the Abrams call. I think this is a fantastic spot for Abrams. Severino is a pitcher you can steal off of. Abrams is a guy that will run. So I mean, that's a added bonus right there. I think he's at like 30. 233 stolen bases on the season. So like he will run. But outside of him, I mean, it gets like, all right, let's see. If Ruiz is catching, he's a good catcher option at 3,900. He's a switch hitter, so it doesn't matter who the Yankees bring in. Lane Thomas, Riley Adams, these guys have some upside against right-handed pitching. This team's much better against left-handed pitching for what it's worth. But, I mean, kind of want to see who's in the lineup too and see, like,
Dominic Smith.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. If Dom Smith like, cracks the lineup, man, he might be our Vogelbach of yesterday.
Right. Like he might be worthy of like taking a punt play on
in Yankee Stadium too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Dom Smith, Dom Smith paired here with like Abrams and like a Meneses or a Ruiz. Like I could definitely see myself stacking Washington 3, maybe 4-man stacks. I don't know if I get like a full 5-man stack because their ceiling I feel like is still limited because they're the Washington Nationals. But what are your thoughts on the Nationals bets?
I mean, like we said, like if Severino's going to be chalky, then I have a lot of interest. They're not going to be a full stack for me no matter what. I would still just do like a 3-man. But we talked about it, like guys like Dom Smith, guys like CJ Abrams, Ruiz. I would absolutely love to roster those guys if Severino is going to be popular.
Oh man, you got me excited thinking that Severino might get some ownership today, and then like the more I think about it, the more I think you're right, and
I think he's going to.
Makes me kind of excited. Yankees bats here, I think they're very stackable today. Mackenzie Gore is a very raw, talented pitcher that has plenty of strikeout upside, but he also gives up a lot of hard contact. He gives up a lot of power, a lot of fly balls. This is in Yankee Stadium. When you're looking at like power righties, I mean, there's not many lineups you're going to be like, oh, this team is better than the Yankees as far as power righties. So I think the Yankees are an interesting pivot off the Braves. I think they're very playable today.
I absolutely. I mean, like how can I say you can't play Aaron Judge or you can't play Giancarlo Stanton with those ISOs that they have against left-handed pitchers? Like even a guy like Gleyber Torres, I think is interesting.
Bader's been great.
Bader. So it's like, I hate DJ LeMahieu, but he's 3,100. Volpe, same thing, 3,100. So I mean, like this stack becomes quite affordable, really. So I still like Gore more though. Like I still think I'm hoping maybe people are going to play Judge because it's such a small slate, and they're going to want to have that power bat in their lineup. I still prefer Gore in this matchup. If I'm being honest, like I would rank Gore ahead of the Yankees hitters.
I mean, that's fair. Fair. So, man, 32% owned Blake Snell. That was a great ending for the Marlins. Let's go, Marlins. Dodgers and Guardians. We got Kershaw and Curry, not Steph. Dodgers a 2-15 favorite in this 8.5 total. Clayton Kershaw 9,900. I mean, I would expect Clayton Kershaw to see a 8 to 12 pitch bump in this spot. I think they were very, very safe with him as far as like throwing 5 innings. If he can get into like the 6th here, like they're gonna slowly start ramping him up. Is 80 pitch 6-inning cap enough for you to play Kershaw at his price today?
See, I don't really want to.
I think that's super fair.
I don't know. Like I completely understand why people could. I don't think I would say that you're bad if you do. I'm just kind of concerned that this is a really, really bad matchup for strikeouts. Like I know it's Kershaw, but I mean, if he's only going to go maximum, let's say, no way he goes over 85 pitches. He's 9,900. Really horrible matchup for strikeouts. Great for everything else. Great for run prevention. But I just don't think that he's got the ceiling. I don't think he's got tournament winning ceiling.
Yeah, I mean, the thing that like Kershaw brings to the table is like he can be so efficient with 80 pitches if it wasn't like an innings thing.
Right.
He was pitching very good against Milwaukee last time out. They had a pretty good lead. Is that like did that like go into the decision of like pulling him out of that game? But he can be super efficient. I mean, it's just a pitch count thing. I love the matchup. Cleveland stinks. They're one of the worst offenses in baseball. They're terrible against left-handed pitching. So, I mean, in that aspect of things, Clayton Kershaw, safety-wise, pretty high. Cleveland is now second worst in WRC plus against left-handed pitching. The only team worse than Cleveland is Colorado. That's saying a lot. So yeah, I think it just comes down to, do we get any kind of news on Kershaw pitch count wise, innings wise? If they say they're going to let him go 80, 85 pitches, I'm in. I think 80, 85 pitches in this matchup, a very efficient Kershaw is very playable. Any interest in Curry on the other side of this game?
No.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else to say.
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons that I like Kershaw so much in this spot is I do think that he'll get some run support and pitch with a lead. So, yeah, no interest for me in Curry. I mean, grades out as a below average strikeout pitcher, gives up a lot of fly balls. Low strikeouts and fly balls just doesn't seem like a winning, successful type of mix against the Dodgers lineup.
He's gonna really struggle with this lineup. Obviously we've got guys like Mookie and Freddie Freeman. They're top options on the slate. I'd much rather spend up for them than like Aaron Judge. Like I'd much rather spend up on Freddie or Mookie than Aaron Judge. Then we got guys like James Outman, who's like only $3,400, or David Peralta is only $2,800. So I mean, there are Max Muncy $4,700. Like that's seems a little cheap, So I mean, they're kind of the low hanging fruit, right? The Dodgers. I mean, I guess Atlanta might overtake them, but I really like this. I really like this matchup for the Dodgers. And also, real quick, I mean, it depends on the weather too. Like if it's a really really nasty day out and it's raining, cold, wind blowing in, that might change my mind. But as it stands right now, I think this is a great stack.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the Dodgers bats as we were talking about Curry, but I'm very much interested in the Dodgers today. I think like ceiling wise, they're up there with the Braves and Yankees as far as like full on stacks today. So I mean, there's potential for some other teams, sure, but I mean those I think. Yeah, when you're looking at it, those are probably the top three teams too today. Any interest in the Guardians?
No.
Hey, my job is just to ask.
Right. No, I know. I mean, I would be excluding all Cleveland players from my pool: pitcher, hitter, everyone.
Nobody in this lineup with an ISO over 200 against left-handed pitching this season. Mets, Braves. We keep it going here, man. The Braves offense, they're gonna explode. Just because like we are like playing them and they're not doing well, and like I feel like now people are gonna start getting off them. They're gonna have a big game, but anyway, 10 total. Braves 185 favorite. Morton and Quintana facing off against each other here. Any interest in Jose Quintana?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, to give him a little credit, he has not been terrible.
That is true. He's been a lot better than I thought he'd be, but I can't endorse any exposure to him in this matchup. But you are right. He has been a lot better than I thought he'd be.
Yeah, and I mean he just pitched somewhat decent against the Braves a week and a half ago, 11 days ago. So I mean they are seeing him twice now within like an 11-day period. And I mean, yeah, I think this is a spot I'm going to stay away from Quintana. And like I said, he has definitely pitched decent, for what it's worth. But I can't do it, man. Like if you want ultimate leverage, you can play Quintana against the Braves. If you are just like, hey, I'm I'm going to throw this team in this $12 single entry, and like nobody is playing Quintana. So
I think fading the Braves is going to be really good, really, big leverage by itself.
Yeah, 6-game slate. They're expensive though.
Having like no Atlanta bats would be a lot of leverage. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they are expensive, but I think that there'll be enough value where they're still going to garner a ton of ownership.
Charlie Morton on the other side of this game, stacked Yankees against him last time out, and he found the fountain of youth and pitched really well.
I was on the show with you. When we were like, you can't play Morton. You can't do it.
I mean, I will gracefully take all my L's, and that was one of them. So, listen, I have no problem. Anybody that has listened to the show,
I don't have a problem with it either. Like,
anybody that has ever listened to this show before knows that I have no problem saying when I'm wrong, and I was very, very, very wrong about Charlie Morton the other day. Any interest in Morton here against the Mets?
You know what I'm going to say is I really don't have much interest. But it's an okay matchup. So, obviously, I'm pretty high on Gausman, and then if I go Gausman Morton, I'm going to have to sacrifice getting to that Dodgers stack that I really want to get to, or that Atlanta stack that I really want to get to. So I'm hoping to find, I'd rather save and play Mackenzie Gore still, if that makes any sense. So I'm kind of not on Morton really.
Yeah. So I mean, I'll say this about Charlie Morton, right? It is a small slate. If he's on, he can pitch really well. The command has been the biggest thing. The Yankees are a very low walk rate team in general. So, I mean, definitely benefited from facing the Yankees last time out. The Mets have one of the highest walk rates in baseball. This is a team that is very patient. If he is struggling, I mean, they'll take bases. I mean, I think their walk rate's like 9.3, 9.2. It's definitely like a top 10 walk rate against right-handed pitching this season. So,
I think it's over 10 or 9.5. Yeah,
somewhere. I know it's like right around that like number. So if he's struggling, they will walk. Let's talk bats. His biggest issue is lefties typically. I mean, there's some power lefties here with Vogelbach, DJ Stewart. There's some, good hitting lefties with McNeil, Nimmo, Lindor. What are your thoughts here when it comes to the Mets bats?
I think this is going to be super, super, super low-owned team. So, and I think that they have anytime. I love stacking against pitchers that have control issues. So if we are betting that Morton could get removed for this game early, and then more walks leads to base runners lead to runs, and so it goes. I think the Mets are very, very viable on this slate. Nimmo at 4,400, McNeil 3,700, Vogelbach 3K. This is like you could stack this team and go like Gausman, Kershaw. And I think that'd be a really contrarian way to build on a 6-game slate.
I think they're okay. I played a lot of Stewart and Vogelbach on Tuesday night. So, I get the upside of facing a righty that kind of struggles with lefties. He does have decent strikeout rates against lefties overall in the season, but recently hasn't been as good. The appealing thing for the Mets today, one is ownership, and two, price and ownership, and then two is if Morton is struggling with command and control and he starts walking guys in that scenario, and I say it all the time, but it just takes one or two big hits and you're off to the races. And this game's in Atlanta. It's a ballpark upgrade for this offense. So I wouldn't tell you not to get to the Mets today for sure. Let's talk Braves. Just keep playing them. I know it's like a broken record at this point. Quintana's been solid, but you look at their numbers against left-handed pitching, and they have 6 guys over 200 ISOs and 350 WOBAs. Like everybody in their lineup, projected lineup, outside of Nicky Lopez, who probably doesn't even start in this game, has a WOBA over 350 against left-handed pitching this season. Like that's how good this team is.
Yeah, and Ozuna is like officially like, you know, awake now. Like he's on fire. So I mean, nothing.
It's because we were making fun of him potentially getting, you know, DOA'd, and he's like, "Ha, watch this." He called me, man. He told me.
Right. Yeah, man. Like, I mean, what can you say? Like, what do you do with Atlanta each and every day? It's like, you know, you want to make a stand either way. I think, you know. Like you either want to get overweight or underweight, but I mean they're gonna be the scariest fade on the board for sure.
I was joking about Ozuna calling me. I hope everyone knew that. But Boston at Houston. This game is currently a 9 total. The Astros a 120 favorite. We got Sale and Urquidy facing off against each other. Chris Sale, we'll talk about him first here. Came back 2 starts ago, faced Detroit. He's faced Washington. Looked really solid against Detroit. That's not shocking. Washington's top 10 team in baseball against left-handed pitching. He looked okay. He didn't look terrible. Houston's a really good offense. We'll just say that. Any interest here in Sale?
I mean, he's not back up to full strength, though, is he? I mean,
I would assume that he is in the 70-75 range here.
Right. That's what I kind of thought too. So I mean, this is not a really good matchup, and he's priced at 8,500. Like, there's not a lot of ceiling for that price. So I'm out.
I will say, so I was watching some of the Washington start, and I think that he started the 5th inning at 53 pitches, if I remember correctly, and then walked 2 guys, and they yanked him. Got an out, walked 2 guys. So
maybe they would let him throw 80.
I think they let him throw 5 innings. I don't know if they, like, pitch count wise, I don't know like how much more over 75 they'd let him go. But if he's pitching well and throws, yeah. So strikeouts potentially there. But I think like just the low strikeout Houston offense and his pitch limits probably keeps me off of him today. Urquidy on the other side of this game, another guy that kind of was like bullpen, and I mean, I don't know what we're looking at here as far as his pitch count, because I mean they did use him out of the bullpen a few days ago. I think it was Friday or Saturday. So he has like normal 5 days, but like he's been in and out of the bullpen. I think he's like anywhere from like 50 to 80 pitches would be my guess. And I know that's like a huge range, but I mean that's the best I can do today.
And I think it's going to be closer to 50 than it is going to be 80. That's just my take. So I think that this is a pretty tough sell, to be honest with you.
I mean, they do want to use like a 6-man rotation. They do want to use him as like the 6-man rotation for right now. So like I could see him going like 70 pitches here. It wouldn't shock me. You're just not. I mean, you're getting some strikeout upside with Urquidy, but it's not like it's a huge strikeout team. Verlander made him look silly. I'll say that. Any interest in playing him?
Not particularly. I mean, I guess he could be part of your pool, but like if you're building 150, but that would be, I maybe would do like 5%. I don't know. I don't really like it that much.
Before we talk about bats, Derek says Dean would like to know what you think about Dean Dong's going 2 for 3 on back-to-back nights. Who were his home runs tonight? And Derek, like there's Team Morning Grind and there's Team Grinders Live. You got to be on Team Morning Grind. Come on, Dean found a nut. Every squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Boston bats. I mean, Urquidy's solid. But he is someone that I mean is definitely hittable to both sides of the plate. I could see a lower owned Red Sox stack even on the road here today. They're somewhat pricey outside of a few guys. What are your thoughts on the Red Sox bets?
They're fine.
That's how I feel. They're fine. That's how I feel.
Darren's on the IL, which I think really stinks. I would really like to play him in the spot. But Devers, right? Like if Devers is going to be low owned, he'd make for an amazing one off. Yoshida, the same thing. Cassis, I think it's really going to come down to ownership. I don't think they're going to have that much ownership. So I think this is a pretty decent contrarian stack. Trevor Story. I think this is a pretty good stack. Like I'd much rather be overweight a Boston stack than having too much exposure to Urquidy.
Houston bats. Chas McCormick, for what it's worth, for anybody that's curious, has been the best hitter in baseball this season against left-handed pitching. He has the highest WRC plus, the highest WOBA. He has been phenomenal. I was shocked when I saw that, but I was looking up Solaire's numbers. I was doing expert survey today, and I was writing up a little blurb on Solaire, and was like looking at like left-handed numbers, and like McCormick. I knew McCormick was like great against lefties, but I didn't realize like he's been like the best hitter in baseball against left-handed pitching this season. So that was interesting.
Yeah, a 279 ISO. That's crazy. Yeah, I mean that's strong. Alvarez was scratched because he slammed his finger in a door before the game on Tuesday. So I don't know.
I know. So I had Alvarez in my lineup.
Okay.
Right. And went to Julio Rodriguez, and then he got scratched. So I ended up, I saw it like maybe 15 minutes before that game locked. So ended up switching to Tatis. So that's my main team has Tatis in it now, who honestly, he was just the name that I clicked because the price matched. And he's Fernando Tatis. So no stats behind it whatsoever. I love those kind of things. But yeah, go back to your thoughts on Houston. Sorry.
No, I mean I don't have much. I don't have a lot of interest. I don't want to pitch Sale, but I also don't really want to stack against him. I think Sale's still a competent pitcher. 32% K rate against lefties, 28% K rate against righties. Still has elite control. So really, 5 innings of Sale, and then it gets turned over to the bullpen. I don't think the stack has too much success.
All right, we got Cincinnati at LA. I assume that this game's going to be on the slate. They might take this one off. They do that sometime with doubleheader games. So we'll see. And what's interesting too is like the note that they put on the top of this is like Ohtani will be added late because he's pitching in the early game. So
right.
lot of topics here, and we'll talk about it. But
they're waiting for Ohtani's position to be announced before they put him in the pool. My guess is that he's
he's starting the early game. So
yeah, he's starting the early game. So like Detmers is starting.
Are they not going to put Ohtani in the? I feel like the easiest thing that they're going to do here is just take this game off the slate. But because are they going to wait to put Ohtani in the line, like in the player pool when the lineups come out? It's a double header. We might not get this lineup until like an hour after lock. And if Ohtani goes into the player pool, at that point, I don't know. Maybe it's just one of those situations where they just leave Ohtani off of the slate and don't even add him back to the slate here. Because if it's 4 or 5 Eastern, I feel like, how do you add him after that?
True.
So,
yeah.
Anyway,
that is an interesting little wrinkle.
Yeah. Let's talk pitchers here. We got Brett Kennedy and Dietmers. I know they might wait till he confirmed pitches game 1, so that puts him, if they do that, right, that puts him in the player pool around 3 Eastern, 2 Eastern. Because that lineup probably comes out around, it's usually like an hour and a half. You have to have it in 90 minutes. So anyway, It'd be interesting to see how this plays out, but I wouldn't be shocked if they just leave him off the slate or if they just take this whole game off the slate too. But hey, I mean, that's baseball. So, all right.
I was looking up Brett Kennedy,
Yeah.
and like his minor league numbers are really bad. Like he was not good. Like in any, like maybe like 3 or 4 years ago they were okay, but he's not a very good like prospect. So
He's not a prospect. He's like 28,
well,
29
that's
years
what,
old.
yeah. But like, yeah, he's not like anyone. He's not very good at all. So I understand that this Angels team is maybe not very good, and we might not have Ohtani in the player pool. But I think this is a interesting late night hammer with the Angels.
Yeah, I mean Brett Kennedy. He's not great. So I know there was someone Yeezy was like, "Tell me about this Kennedy guy." Well, I don't think there's much to tell you, honestly. Everything that I've read on his like scouting report is he throws a lot of fastballs, mixes in a changeup, and every once in a while will mix in a slider. So I mean, very 2-pitch type of guy. That is not the thing you want to be in the majors. So, yeah, I think this is a spot we're probably not playing Kennedy against the Angels. And if this game stays on the slate, I actually have some interest in the Angels bats. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's talk Detmers here. Any interest in him?
I do. I think that his price point is right around that area that I want to be. If I'm using Gaussman as my SP1, Detmers definitely kind of fits that build at 7,600. Like that's why I don't really want to pitch Chris Sale or like Charlie Morton. So like it really comes down to Detmers or Mackenzie Gore, and it's really really close for me. I think Detmer. I'm very very confident that Detmers has a higher ceiling, and I have quite a bit of interest in him. I think this is a pretty good matchup for him.
Yeah, even though like some of these young guys like Encarnacion Strand and De La Cruz, like they can hit from the right side of the plate, they've struggled big time against left-handed pitching. So you're obviously worried about like Steer and McLean. Like those are the two guys I think you're worried about the most here. You're also really worried about like Detmer's walks and just struggling in that aspect. But yeah, I mean upside wise, I think he's definitely in play today. As far as the Reds bats, I mean, it's the two guys I just said, Spencer Steer and Matt McLean. They have been fantastic against left-handed pitching this season. What are your thoughts here on the Reds bats?
I think you nailed it perfectly. It'd be Steer McLean. Ellie has a small sample size, but Ellie's got a 42.7% strikeout rate against lefties. So, like, this is definitely not, his side of the plate that, you want to attack him with. So, like, really, I'm not, other than maybe a couple one-offs, I'm not really on the Reds very highly.
Yeah, I think McLean, Steer, one-offs, or even like a little two-man stack is very playable. They're missing a couple of their guys that have been good this season against left-handed pitching to like injuries and stuff. So, I mean, that obviously doesn't help. I will say that if the catcher Luke Malley cracks the lineup, he's like a punt catcher, and he has like a 240 ISO against left-handed pitching this season. So like if you wanted a punt $2,200 catcher, I think Luke Malley would be interesting if he cracks the lineup. So and it's a double header, so there's an easily a chance that like Stevenson catches the early game and Malley catches the late game, and we get to play Malley. So Angels bats here.
I mean, I would love to be able to play Ohtani, right?
Ohtani and Trout's back. Oh man,
yeah,
here we go.
I mean,
Moniak, Dury, like Moustakis. Looking at Kennedy's stats and like his pitch mix, I want to stack the Angels today.
Kennedy's numbers in the minors are like really bad. I was like shocked when I was looking through them. So yeah,
he's up today just to eat some innings.
Right. He's got really no future in this rotation. So yeah, like I am fine with whatever we can do with this Angels team. Hoping that we figure out this Ohtani situation. But yeah, like I think that the Angels are really solid stack.
All right, let's play the morning grind game, and then we'll get out of here. Under 8K to get 6 or more strikeouts. Who do you got today?
Detmers.
I'm going to go Mackenzie Gore. Might not be ugly or good, but it might be ugly. So over 8K to score under 15. Who is your bust today?
Flaherty.
I'm going to go with Chris Sale. Tough matchup, pitch count, potentially Sale. Over 4,000 to hit a home run today. Who's going yard?
I'm gonna go Stanton.
Yeah, I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all.
I do like Gore quite a bit though, but I bet Stanton's pretty low owned.
I was trying not to pick a Brave hitter.
See, I was trying not to pick a Dodger.
Oh, I mean Dodgers, yeah. Well, I'm gonna pick Ozuna. Call Ozuna home run today. I said I wasn't gonna pick a Braves, but I like Ozuna, so I was gonna McCormick too. Yeah, under 4K to get 2 hits. Who do you got?
James Outman.
I like it. I'm gonna go Mickey Moniak. Stack to score 6 or more runs today.
Dodgers for me.
Dodgers. Getting the Washington Nationals. I do not like Severino. Tim, any final thoughts before Kevin posted? And I saw K just for to give myself a little bit of buffer. But yeah, that's what messed me up. Tim, any final thoughts before we get out of here today?
No, thanks, Stevie, and thanks everyone for listening.
Who's the Iceman home run of the day? Oh, we're going to get out of here. Hope everyone has a fantastic Wednesday. Thanks for everyone hanging out with us on YouTube here on Tuesday night. We'll be back tomorrow talking more baseball. Have a good one. We'll see you then.